everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Kenobi's Facebook Live every Monday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. I am your host, Dan Z. Thrilled to be here with you, talking some Star Wars Monday night. I love it. Look forward to it all day. Let's say hello to our friend. Sarah is here. Sarah, good to see you, my friend. Matthew, good to have you, buddy. I know it's late for where you are at, but good to see you, and be sure to catch the show on replay naturally here or on Instagram or on YouTube. And of course, you can hear the podcast feed as well. Again, hello, Sarah, Mary. Yes, we're starting to thaw out a little bit, and apparently, while 2 weeks ago it was below zero, this weekend coming up is going to be 50. So I guess we're going to thaw whether we like it or not, right? Pretty crazy stuff. Hello, Carter. Good to have you here, bud. Just saw Carter earlier today. Of course, Carter's one of my star pupils, my star Padawans. Minta, good to have you back on the show, of course. Return of the Ross. Ross is here. You were missed, pal. Good to have you back. Blake is here. Hello, Blake. The Phantom Menace, Blake Weaver. I love it. Good to see you, man. Very good to see you. Daniel is here. Hello, Daniel. Welcome. Welcome back to the show. Jason, hello there to you. I love your icon, Jason, of Qui-Gon Jinn. Daniel, welcome back, buddy. It's been a while, but that's okay. It's great to have you here. And Matthew has been listening on the audio feed, which is tremendous. It's always very nice to hear. Well, we've got a very fun show for you tonight. Again, my name is Dan Z. I'm the host of Coffee with Kenobi. Thrilled to be here with you talking some Star Wars. Terry is back as well. Hello, Terry. And Terry's icon. Good to see you, Terry. Reminds me, if you've been listening to CWK Prover, you know we had a major announcement last weekend, which I guess that was just yesterday if you listen to the actual audio itself and not the video. But CWK Prover is our exclusive weekly podcast hosted by myself, the co-creator of Coffee with Kenobi, Corey Club, and Tom Gross, our CWK newsman. And we're doing something really, really cool in the CWK Alliance. If you are members of the CWK Alliance, you have the opportunity to be a part of a future episode. In fact, and Terry, you'll appreciate this, Thomas is here. Thomas says, love this community, proud to be a Patreon member and a supporter. Well, Thomas, thank you for being a member of the CWK Alliance, along with Terry and Ross and so many of our friends here. So it's so nice to have all of you here naturally. And what we announced is, again, you get to be a host on an upcoming show. I'm actually going to post tomorrow morning in the Patreon chat. I'm going to post a survey that I would like you to fill out if you'd like to consider being a member of the CWK Alliance and co-hosting a potential CWK pour-over with us. It's going to have all the details to iron things out. It's going to be great fun. Love to have you there. If you're interested, go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/support or www.coffeewithkenobi/CWK Alliance, and you can become a member there. Hello, Jamie. Good to have you. Look at all those caps. Love that. Ben says, sorry I missed last week. I was off work Monday and I thought it was still the weekend. You know what? That's a great thing. That is a great thing, and we are happy to have you here. All right, tonight's show is your top 5 favorite Star Wars couples, which proved to be, of course, a little more challenging than I expected. So we're going to do things a little bit differently. We're actually going to start with our top 5 tonight. And then we'll go into what's brewing after, because I want to talk a little bit about the Halcyon, the upcoming Star Wars hotel at Walt Disney World. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into our top 5 favorite Star Wars couples. Again, a tricky one. And I said last week, look, it can just be friends. Of course, it doesn't have to be some sort of a romantic type of a deal. But as I was making my list, I almost thought, well, duos or Star Wars friendships could almost be its own list in and of itself. So mine were all couples in some way, shape, or form, and so was Mason's. So let's go ahead and jump into our top 5 favorite Star Wars couples. My number 5 is Iden Versio and Del Meeko. Now, this one caught me by surprise, but this weekend, Mason was playing Star Wars Battlefront 2, of course. He loves Star Wars Battlefront 2. And we started looking into the campaign. We haven't played the campaign very much. Usually we just play 2 players and just kind of have fun that way. Sometimes we're on teams, sometimes we're against each other. We started really exploring that, and I've been reading him Star Wars Battlefront 2, Inferno Squad, and he just really likes those characters. And then seeing their story evolve, throughout the different campaigns and missions, I grew to really appreciate who they are and what they have to offer each other. So there's my number 5, Iden Versio and Del Meeko from Star Wars Battlefront 2. Thomas's number 5, R2-D2 and C3PO. I struggle with whether I would put them on or not, but that is a great one. I'm sure it will come up a lot. Terry says Cassian and Jyn. Terry, you'd love this. Mason and I had a little debate about whether they could be on his list or my list or not. And we said, well, at the end, I think you could assume it's possible. So I don't know. I think it's pretty valid. I think they have a lot of potential, a lot of interesting things happen with the two of them. James says, can it kind of be a couple? Of course, man. Of course. There is no rubric for this. Do whatever, wherever the Force guides you, my friend. Ross says, Han and Leia, probably mandatory to put one of the two power couples on the galaxy on my list. Indeed. Wonder what your other power couple is. We shall see. I wonder. Matthew says Finn and Rose. Oh, that's cool. Interesting. I really wish they would have played that up a little bit more in The Rise of Skywalker, but that is a good choice. Jason, Luke Skywalker and Mara Jade, a little love for the EU. You know what? They came up a lot. I was doing searches of different Star Wars couples, and they came up quite a bit. So that is a fun choice, and I'm sure other people will have. Blake has Anakin and Padme. He says, while it is not the marriage I strive for, that's good. My wife would throw me in a river of lava like Anakin if I said I did. That's pretty great. It has to be mentioned, though, because, it's Anakin and Padme. I agree. Just because. I agree, Blake. And your humor is welcome, my friend. It's good to have you back on the show. Mary has 2 lists. 5 for friends. Anakin and Obi-Wan, possible romance, Jyn and Cassian. Oh, that's cool. Very, very clever. Very clever. Minta's was Finn and Rose, certainly. Jose, welcome to the show. Jose has C3PO and R2-D2. Love that. Ben also has Finn and Rose. Daniel, number 5, Leia and Han. Jamie's number 5 is Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. Wow, what an interesting choice. I hadn't thought about them as a couple, but they certainly are. Mason's number 5 is Brea and Bail Organa, Leia's adopted parents. So yeah, Brea and Bail Organa for Mason. Good job, buddy. All right, let's look at number 4 of our top 5 favorite Star Wars couples. Number 4 for me is Obi-Wan and Satine. I fully expect this to show up a lot. But Obi-Wan and Satine have a very compelling romance, very much sort of the Romeo and Juliet route to a degree. And of course, it doesn't have a great ending at all. It has a terribly tragic ending, but it shows Obi-Wan's resolve and his dedication to justice, and it needs to be mentioned for sure. James says Ahsoka and Lux Bonturi from the Clone Wars. Good choice. A very good choice. I hadn't thought about that, but that's a great choice. Minta has Ventress and Quinlan Vos Minta. I was explaining that to Mason. That's a great one. I love those two. They're very, very fun together. Number 4 for Terry is Hera and Kanan. Well, I love those two. I'm a big fan of theirs, so they may show up on my list a little bit later. Thomas is Han and Chewie. All right, Thomas is going with the pals and the power couples. I like that. Ross has Galen and Lyra Erso, especially from the background stories in the novel Catalyst by James Luceno. Their relationship and what it faced makes director Krennic look like an even greater villain. I agree. Catalyst was something that took a while for me to get into, but once I did, I was completely hooked. And I do think it adds a ton to their relationship, because just in Rogue One itself, there's really not much there. It's just a couple of minutes at the beginning. So it purely fleshes that out. So that is a very nice choice. Thomas, number 3. Thomas, your 3 didn't show up, so feel free to re-enter that for sure. Jason's number 4, Anakin Skywalker and Padme Amidala. Yes, I'm going to just say it right now. I didn't put those 2 on my list, and I'll talk about that later. But I love that, Jason. Good choice. A lot of people love those 2. Jose, L3 and Lando recently rewatched Solo, and the relationship is one of my favorite parts of the film. I am glad that you like those 2. I am very glad. I'm glad it brought you joy, my friend. Carter's number 4, Starkiller and Juno from The Force Unleashed. Nice, Carter. I don't know if I told you this, but the actor who is the voice of Juno, she was on Coffee with Kenobi a really long time ago, so she was really nice. Daniel's number 4, Padme and Anakin. Another one for Padme and Anakin. I should be like keeping tallies. That would be kind of a cool thing to do. Mary also have Anakin and Padme, especially in the Clone Wars. For friends, Poe and Finn. Mary, that was clever. I should have thought of that. I should have consulted with you before I did this. Matthews has Han and Chewie. Love Han and Chewie. Blake's number 4, the same as mine. Obi-Wan and Satine. The Jedi he's not supposed to love with a politician. It almost mimics what his apprentice does. That's right. They're kind of like a funhouse mirror version of each other, but without the fun. Number 4 for Jamie is Luke and Mara Jade. That's 2 for Luke and Mara. And James, no problem. Han and Kira. Sorry, Leia. No problem. They're certainly a couple for sure. Ben's number 4 is Hera and Kanan. Season 4 was so good, mostly because of their storyline. I agree. I love that so much as well. Number 4 for Mason, he has Obi-Wan and Satine also. So there's 3 of us that have Obi-Wan and Satine as number 4. Carter, yes, I will share that for you tomorrow in school. Yes, cool. All right, let's go to the number 3 of our top 5 favorite Star Wars couples. Number 3 for me is Han and Kira. We just mentioned them. While we have a book, a Ray Carson book, which is actually really, really great. It's sort of a prequel to Solo. It shows how they become a couple essentially, and then the film Solo itself. I really like them when they're on screen together. Of course, it doesn't have an ideal ending either, but he, of course, is destined to run into Leia Organa at some point, so it couldn't have worked for very long. But I like the chemistry between Alden Ehrenreich and, oh my gosh, why can't I think of Kira, the actress's name? But you know who I mean from Game of Thrones. I'm sure it's going to pop to my brain. Somebody feel free to type it in. I don't know why I can't think of it suddenly. But they're a really, really good tandem. All right. Number 3 for everyone else. Minta has Obi-Wan and Satine, still tragic and beautiful. Definitely. And Minta always has the good references to Clone Wars and Rebels, so I appreciate that, Minta. Matthews, number 3, Luke and Mara Jade, which they brought her into the movies. Fantastic character. Yes, she's definitely a fan favorite, one that I really, really like, and I'd like, whenever she was in the books, I was always very entertained by what she brought to the table. Thomas is number 3, Thane, Kirill, and Sienna Ray. Lost Stars. Oh my gosh. Lost Stars. Is this going to show up for other people? Lost Stars is by Claudia Gray. It's a young adult Star Wars novel. I'm really one of the first ones in the canonical universe, and that's a great one. I can't believe I didn't think of those two. Good choice. Number 3 for Terry is Obi-Wan and Satine. Terry, if I mentioned how much I like that hat, nice job, man. That's a great choice, Obi-Wan and Satine. People love them. Ross is number 3 from the Clone Wars. Cut, who's a deserted clone trooper, and Sue, Law Queen. You just said that. You just typed that, Ross, so I would have a hard time pronouncing it. I know. She's a Twi'lek along with her 2 children, Sheeta and Jack. Yeah, that's a good one. That's the cut became. I'm not sure what you said there, but I have no doubt that it was very insightful, and that is a very good choice. I would love to hear more about your interest in them because that's good stuff. Mary's number 3 is Obi-Wan and Satine, friends R2-D2 and C-3PO, of course. Amelia Clark, yes, how could I not think of that? I don't know. She's in a great holiday Christmas movie that Deanna and I really, really like. Jason Mock as Hera and Kanan. Yay, Hera and Kanan, for sure. Great couple. Carter says Rex and Anakin. They are a great duo. Mason and I just watched the Yoda arc and the Order 66 arc from season, 6 of the Clone Wars. And I really like seeing the way those two work together. Joss and Pika Adrian don't want to say too much at this point. Okay, Jose. Noted. Number 3 for Blake. Revan and Bastilla from the Knights of the Old Republic video game. If you played that game and made the right choices to have the romance, you know what I'm talking about. Yes. And that is one that is a huge one that people really, really like. Daniel says his wife came up with R2-D2 and C-3PO. I love it. Actually, Brett Parrott, who joined us last week, he told me that would be one he would put on his list as well. Ben's number 3, Obi-Wan and Satine. No matter how hard they try, they still love each other. That's true, and they show it in different ways, and I like that. That's just cool. Number 3 for Gabe is Luke and Mara. Gabe, excellent. Love having you here, buddy. Thank you so much. Nick Deco is here. Hey, Nick. It's our old Coffee with Kenobi video game special reporter, Nick Deco here. Nick, you'll be happy to know that Battlefront 2 has ravaged our house and we play it all the time. He says, Jabba and Salacious Crumb, so creepy and Jedi. Yes, That is for sure. That is for sure. James says Kanan and Hera is the way they love, how much they loved each other, and Kanan's sacrifice at the end. At least he and Hera got to kiss before he, yeah. Well, I don't want to say, I'm going to read it out loud because there's spoilers maybe for people who haven't seen it, but I don't know. Not really. It's been out for a long time, but that's great. Season 5, thank you, Mason. I always get those two confused. You know, again, numbers not my thing. Not my thing per se. All right, Mason's number 3 is Han and Leia. Han and Leia. That's only come up twice so far, which surprises me, but maybe not, because now we're in our top 2 favorite of our top 5 favorite Star Wars characters. Easy for me to say. So I bet you they're going to come up and, hey, look at that. Number 2 for me. Han and Leia, Mason's number 3, and my number 2. They would have made it to number 1, but I don't really like what happened with them post Return of the Jedi and how they still weren't together very much, and Han was always leaving, and I just think that doesn't sit well with me. I don't like the development or lack of development in that. That's just my personal preference. But in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi and A New Hope, outstanding. Absolutely outstanding and iconic, I dare say. There's a reason that the Empire Strikes Back movie poster is supposed to mirror Gone with the Wind. A very classic, passionate, and ultimately a bit unfortunate love affair to the end. Number 2 for Thomas, Han and Lando, they put up with each other at their best and verge on friends, but it's a fun relationship to watch, certainly added to by Solo. Mary's number 2 is Kanan and Hera, friends, Han and Chewie, awesome. Mita's number 2, Kanan and Hera, they had a great love story through the entire series, and they have a beautiful, all right, I guess we're to say a beautiful child to cement their legacy. Can't wait to see more about that character for sure. Matthew, Anakin and Ahsoka, very much a power relationship. Oh, interesting. Interesting choice. Sarah's number 2 is Han and Chewie. Excellent. Jose has Thane Curell and Sienna Rey, Lost Stars. So the first canonical book I read, the relationship is something I've never seen in Star Wars before. I agree, Jose. It's excellent. It was mentioned earlier, and it's a great one. I can't believe I didn't think of that one either, but well said. Jason's number 2 is C-3PO and R2-D2. Ross's number 2 is Hera and Kanan, a heroic and tragic tale, though it did result in a child. Jason, I hope we learn more about. Everybody's talking about that. That's cool. Daniel's number two is Obi-Wan and Satine. I love the banter between these two in the Clone Wars. Yep, it's very, very fun and catchy. Hey, Josh is here. Sorry I'm late. I guess since we're almost done, I'll sit tight until the top 5 panel is done. Hey, jump in here anytime, man. Happy to have you on the show again for sure. Terry's number 2 is Luke and Mara J. We're getting a lot for Luke and Mara J. That makes me very happy. I think that's cool. I think that's really cool. Another lost father figure with Han. Exactly. That's why one of the reasons I like Mandalorian so much, because it kind of gets things back to where it should be with that. Gabe's Ben Skywalker and Vestra Kai because he falls in love with the Sith, kind of similar to his father. Interesting. Very interesting. And then let's see. James says Anakin and Padme, even though it didn't end well, at the end they still made a good couple. Okay, fair enough. And Mary says, Josh, you could roll them all as one post. Yep, you sure can. Mason, I did say your number 3. I said Han and Leia because remember your number 3 was the same as my number 2. So yeah, I sure did, buddy. You did a great job with that. Blake's number 2 is Hera and Kanan. They went through everything together and ends in a sacrifice which anyone would do for their partner. It's true, except for Anakin and Padme, maybe. Nick, Anakin and Obi-Wan, the layers of friendship, brotherhood, internalized trauma, and even how in the end they aim for redemption for one another. Yes, very true. Oh dear. James says the Rancor Keeper in Jabba's Rancor. You can see how much the Keeper loved that Rancor. That's true. I love it, James. Ben says Han and Kira highlights young love. They had great chemistry. Plus, it makes Han's love for Leia more real for me. Imagine all the walls he broke down for Leia. Oh, that's true. That's very true. So, Anakin and Padme is Mason's number 2. Anakin and Padme is Mason's number 2. He loves those two. A big Anakin fan. I think it's hard to watch Star Wars, especially as a kid, and not gravitate towards Anakin Skywalker when he's, good and nice and, very, very exciting with a lightsaber. But speaking of exciting, we're on our number 1 of our top 5 favorite Star Wars couples. Here we go. My number one is Kanan Jarrus and Hera Syndulla. I love these two. Rebels is arguably, besides the original trilogy, my favorite thing about all of Star Wars. I love Rebels so much. And I'm big fans of Vanessa Marshall and Freddie Prinze Jr. They've been great to me, great to Coffee with Kenobi. And I absolutely love these two characters so much. So to me, this was one that was very, very easy. 1 and 2 are actually very easy for me. Kanan and Hera is my number one. And I think they have the most authentic and realistic relationship in a fictional universe, in the Star Wars universe. I'll give you Mason's number one first because I'd been saving Mason's for last. But Mason's number one was Iden Versio and Del Meeko. They were my number 5. They were his number one. He loves these two. He loves what they bring. He loves how they grow together as characters, both individually and as a couple. And he was stoked to put them on the list, so I was excited to do that. All right. Now let's get to each and every one of your number ones. Okay. Mary's number one, Han and Leia from the original trilogy, friends, Anakin and Ahsoka. I really can't argue with that. That's really good stuff. Thank you, Mary, very much. Appreciate that. And Anakin and Ahsoka is a great friendship. Minta has a tie. Anakin and Padme, they managed to keep their relationship a secret to the end. I'm sure you're excited about the new announcement of the new Padme novel. It's going to explore their marriage together, and that was announced a couple days ago. Her other is Han and Leia. Let's see, let me get Minta's comment back here. Honestly, I think everyone can relate to them in some way, shape, or form. Awesome. That's great. That's great, Minta. Thank you. Number one for Sarah is Han and Leia. Number one for Terry is Han and Leia. Jose has the same as mine, Kanan and Hera. They work together for a common goal, and their skills, methods complement each other very well. Indeed, they do. Indeed, they certainly do. Jason, Han and Leia, I love you, I know. Classic, I agree. Ben says, Han and Leia, enough said. Ross is number one. I did not expect this, Ross. Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Vos from the Dark Disciple novel by Christy Golden. This is a live-action love story that Lucasfilm needs to make. I'd be very interested to see how that would be received by the greater public at large. But that's cool. I think that would make for a great Disney Plus series, actually. That's a good call, Ross. I love it. Daniel's number one, same as mine. Kanan and Hera. This was the first couple that came to mind, hands down. We love the relationship these characters have. Totally agree. Absolutely agree. Thomas feels the same. Kanan and Hera's a relationship, friends tied between Anakin and Obi-Wan and Rex and Ahsoka. Cool. Speaking of Mando, Din Djarin and Grogu. Actually, Mason brought that up to me. We're talking about this as well. Good choice. Blake's number one, Han and Leia, but only in the original trilogy. For me, the most iconic relationship that grew so organically on screen. Fantastic. Gabe's number one, a clone named Darmin Skirata married a Jedi named Itan Turmukan in Legends. The Republic Commando series was really fantastic, showing the depth of the clones. Thank you, and my apologies to the authors of these characters that I butchered the names. Hey, Troy's here. What's up, dude? Troy's at 1 through 5 is Vader and Palpatine. Well, isn't that romantic? Good to have you here, buddy. James, number one, Obi-Wan and Satine, just the way they both loved each other. You can see how bad they wanted to be with each other, but couldn't since Obi-Wan was a Jedi. Great couple. You got it. You got that right. Very good. Well, thanks, everybody, for sharing your top 5 favorite Star Wars couples. That actually was even more fun than I expected. I knew it would be fun because each and every one of you were going to join us here next week's, I think, is going to be kind of a fun departure. But I want you to dive in and tell me your top 5 favorite Star Wars collectibles. Now, to me, this means ones you actually own. Because if it's just any Star Wars collectibles of all, then I would say, okay, how about Han and Carbonite or 1/1 scale R2-D2? But we don't have that. So I'm just going to go with the ones that I actually own. So get your top 5 favorite Star Wars collectibles ready. I think that would be great fun. Maybe after we do the show, because then you could save it for the show. Maybe after the show we could post all of our collectibles in the CWK Cafe, which is, of course, is our Coffee with Kenobi Facebook group that we have the best time. It's family friendly. It's spoiler free. It's coffeewithkenobi.com/community. Join us in the CWK Cafe to share your pictures. But I'm asking you not to share your pictures of your top 5 favorite Star Wars collectibles until we actually talk about them next week on the show. It is going to be hard, and I'm going to be spending a lot of time here in the Coffee with Kenobi studios trying to figure out what I want to do for that. So, wow. Interesting stuff. So we've got a lot of comments here. So let's go ahead and go back and look at this. Jason's honorable mentions are Han and Chewie or Anakin and Ahsoka. Love it. If Dan has trouble with the name, it's hard to say. That's very kind of you. Yeah, I usually do all right, but some of these are even esoteric, even for someone like me or all of you who are huge Star Wars experts as well. Jose, honorable mention, Quinlan Voss and Asajj Ventress are good things, but I actually haven't read Dark Disciple. Jose, I'm going to tell you, I think Dark Disciple is one of the top 5 best canonical Star Wars novels since they've made novels canon. And I don't know what else to say, but it's great. It's actually a number of episodes from the Clone Wars that were never produced. So Christy Golden took these scripts and wrote this beautiful novel that's excellent. So I highly recommend it. Next, number 1, Poe and BB-8. Seriously, it's a tie. Haha. Hera, Kanan, Leia, Han, Anakin, Padme. See, I didn't put Anakin and Padme because their relationship ends up being horrible. The ending is horrible. So I just couldn't put myself there. And to be fair, the dialogue in episode 2 with those two, I'm kind of a dialogue snob. Part of the English teacher in me, I apologize. I know a lot of people like it. I love looking at them together. Their chemistry is fun, but the way the Revenge of the Sith ends makes it hard. Now, if we're just talking Clone Wars, animated Padme and Anakin, then I'm sold. Then I'm totally sold, for sure. Terry's honorable mentions Boba Fett and Fennec Shand, probably not a couple, but probably pretty much unstoppable as a fighting duo. Anybody ever wonder what the backstory was between Maz and Chewie? I have wondered about that. They actually allude to it in Star Wars Battlefront 2 in one of the scenes where they show them together. Well, they show Han and Maz there. So, interesting. Very interesting. I shouldn't be saying Ask Dan Z is next because it actually isn't next. We're going to do some other fun stuff. Meantime, it will be fun. I'm looking forward to your list. I'm looking forward to everybody's list. Mary says it's going to be challenging, and I know, but I have faith in you. Cami says this is going to be tricky because I barely got into collecting. Anything that's got Star Wars logo on it or remind you of Star Wars that you consider Star Wars collectible works. Totally works. James, honorable mentions for me is Shmi Skywalker and Klieg Lars, Rex and Cody, and Boba Fett and his father Jango. Well, that's fun. I like that one. And then Han and Leia as well. Does this mean just hard to find stuff or whatnot, or just merch in general? To me, this means collection stuff in your collection that you specifically have. Top 5 for you. Top 5 things for you. Things that mean a lot to you as a collector. Whether there's a million of them in the world or just one, or where it came from doesn't matter. It's just something that you like that speaks to you. Let's see. Preach, Dan. Yep, Dark Disciple, man. It's great. It's so good. Daniel says Poe and Finn, bro. Can't argue with that. They're awesome. Nick says was the driving force of the prequels and the Clone Wars helps. Yes, indeed, sure does. Ben has a hard time leaving Anakin and Padme off too, but their tragic ending kept it off the list. Me too. I just couldn't pull that. Does your cosplay items count? It sure does. It absolutely does. That is a huge Star Wars collectible. I've actually got some Manovos Stormtrooper armor I've been talking about for years. It was almost put together, and then it wasn't. And someday I would love to tell you I'm gonna do a CWK live in Stormtrooper armor. We'll see. I have to actually get it finished first. It is not easy. It is not easy. That is not my skill set. It's almost like you can't mention Anakin's name after what he did in the temple. No, you can't. As soon as he basically kneels in front of Sidious and says, "You're now Darth Vader," that's it. He's not Anakin anymore. So, now, what we're going to do is we're going to shift gears a little bit. Usually we do what's brewing first, and then we go into our top 5. But I want to just really quickly go over some fun stuff that I found this weekend that I thought was worth talking about. So let's go ahead and jump into what's brewing in the world of Star Wars. All right, looks like everybody's starting to come back. Again, apologies, I don't really know what happened, but we are here in business. I really want to talk about something that came across the Coffee with Kenobi Twitter feed this week. And by the way, if you try to get a hold of me on Twitter over the past week, you were not able to do so on the personal page because I actually gave up my at Mr. Zer, MRZEHR Twitter for Lent. So I wasn't on there, but I am on Coffee with Kenobi's Twitter account, so you can certainly reach me there. But when I was scrolling through Twitter, looking at different things to talk about for this week, both on CWK Live and on Coffee with Kenobi's podcast, I saw some pictures that I'd seen before, but they just kind of hit me. They really, really hit me this time. So we're going to talk about the Halcyon, the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser. This is, for lack of a better term, the Star Wars Hotel that is coming. It says, the website still says 2021. We don't have any dates yet. We don't have any ideas about anything. But I saw this picture and I about lost my mind. So go ahead and take a look at it because it's really quite stunning. If you look, you can clearly tell who the cast members are based on those blue/light blue costumes that look like they're pilots of some sort. But look at all the guests. You've got a little girl with a Twi'lek headdress. You've got a couple of Jedi. You've got a father and son that look like different versions of Han Solo, one from possibly Bespin, Empire Strikes Back, and one from A New Hope. You've got rebels. You've got Jedi Knights. I mean, it's crazy, right? It's amazingly cool. Showed this to Mason, and we spent about 5 minutes talking about, gosh, which one would you wear if you got to go? Because guess what? When you get to do this, when you actually go and stay at the Star Wars Galactic Cruiser, I mean, think of it as a Disney cruise, but there's no water. Now, it is pricey. They've never given an official price. As soon as we find out, we will let you know. But part of the perks of this is that you get these costumes and you're actually in world. So that your entire duration of your stay, you're actually in world. So you get to keep these costumes and you get to wear them throughout the experience, which is amazing. Yes, we are back. Sorry, I don't know what happened again, but I'm glad that everybody is here. It looks so cool. Okay, so that's the first picture I wanted to point out. This is just from the actual website itself. So on the left, top left, the launch pods. As soon as you arrive at the terminal, you enter a launch pod. You're going to blast off into space and arrive at the Halcyon. So this is, if you ever were in the living seas at Epcot years and years and years ago, before they redid everything and made everything Nemo, they had these hydrolators. You got in this little elevator, and there were windows all around it, and bubbles were floating up, and the ground shook. Basically, it was all just a trick, but the illusion was that you were going underwater. Well, the same thing is done here. You're like launching up into an escape pod. So it's so good. Mary says, we really want to do the Halcyon. Start saving now. I hope they do what they were proposing with the renderings. I hope so too. Yeah, it looks phenomenally awesome. On the right, top right, the Halcyon. And I do know that's the pronunciation because when I was at the last D23 Expo, I talked to some Imagineers and they made sure to take care of it. So basically, the actual building of the hotel looks like that. Like, it actually looks like the Starcruiser, which is phenomenal. So cool. Matthew says, Bio reconstructed some recent flyover pics. Looking good so far. Yeah, for sure. Look at the bottom left, the atrium. It says, discover the heart of the Halcyon, a welcoming place where crew and passengers gather. This is the lobby. You know, you go into some lobbies, and as Mrs. Zer knows, I like to find the chocolate chip cookies that they give away for free. But here, look at everything that they've got. Stormtroopers, Wookiees, more cosplay, more fun. You feel like you're part of the Star Wars universe. And the bottom right is the picture that we already looked at. Brian says he's done with Star Wars. Y'all enjoy it. Brian, well, if you ever decide to come back, brother, we would love to have you. And whether you're done with Star Wars or not, you are always welcome at our community at Coffee with Kenobi. No doubt about that. Look at this. Exclusive amenities and experiences. The top left one is the one that makes your eyes pop out. Well, they all do, let's be honest. They all do. See, Matthew says cookies are as bad as me. I don't know, for some reason the fresh chocolate chip cookies at the hotel, I don't know why, but good stuff. So look at the top left. Wield a lightsaber. Experience the traditional art of wielding a lightsaber and put your skills to the test. So I don't know how this works or what it means or what's going on, but it certainly looks like real lightsaber training to me. So, I mean, that's the price of admission right there. Boom. Done. Look at the top right, the passenger cabin. This is what the hotel rooms look like. You actually feel like you're in a cabin in space. Incredible. The bottom left is Silver Sea Lounge. Sip a drink in the stylish lounge, a warm and inviting retreat for passengers of all ages. Absolutely stunning. This is like a Star Wars restaurant and bar in a whole other level. If you ever been to Oga's Cantina at Galaxy's Edge, it looks like it takes it kind of to another level. And then with the lighting stuff, looks really, really cool. Bottom right, the engineering room. Sneak into a crew-only area and discover the inner workings of the ship's systems. To me, based on this rendering, it looks like that's what, at the cruise, like when they have the exclusive areas just for kids, looks like a place for kids to play. It looks like great, great fun. All right, so let's see what we got here. We've got some fun conversations. James says, not sure if it's possible, but I would love if they did a Coruscant setting. They could do a hologram of ships flying above, like in the movies, especially Jedi Council chamber scenes. From what I'm hearing, James, anything is possible with this, to be honest. Still probably doesn't mean that me, myself, is canon, but they've really taken that immersive adventure to the next level. Hey, for that weekend, you're canon, buddy, in my opinion. Daniel says he'd love to work there as a character. Hey, man, that's a great idea. Blake says, with all the patents Disney has had for this hotel and future attractions, I've heard that Jim Hill has talked about this place. It is true. Jim has talked about it a lot. Jim and I have talked about it a lot. There's a lot of exciting things going on. Terry says, when everything is ready to go, I'm sure Disney will make some incredible promotional commercials for this. That is for sure. Matthew says, unbelievable. The Imagineers have really outdone themselves with all this. Have they ever? It's just crazy cool. And James, again, with the anti-Jar Jar stuff. Come on, James. He says, no Jar Jar allowed. No, I think that Jar Jar will probably be very welcome. Lan has pulled up a number of the patents. Yes, he certainly has done that. So look, once they start finding things out about it, most of the information I get is legitimately from MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. They are the official travel partner of Coffee with Kenobi. I guarantee you, when this is announced, you can start booking this. If you're considering doing it, they can hook you up and take care of things. Get to the best price possible. MEI and Mouse Fan Travel is a free travel agency. There is no charge to use the service, and they help you get the best value, give you tips, tricks, and help you make things happen. I will certainly have Becky Mankin from MEI and Mouse Fan Travel on as we get closer to share more information about it as well. Let's go ahead and jump in really quickly to Ask Dan Z. So Ben wants to know if he can move in. I think everybody would love to move in here for sure. Josh says, man, just when I was satisfied going to Galaxy's Edge, supposedly, I didn't mention this, but they're going to have something where you get to go over to Galaxy's Edge, like an exclusive shuttle just for passengers of the Halcyon. And it sounds like it's really going to bring things to another level. The rates, Matthew, we don't know. We don't know yet. But like I said, as soon as we find out, MEI and Mouse Fan Travel will be the place that I'm going to go to book my vacation. Zach, hello. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you on the show. Welcome. This is the time of the show. We're running out of time, but if you have any questions for me about Star Wars or the podcast or anything, just let me know. Jason says, has there been any announcements about when the Ahsoka series will be released? There's essential episodes of Ahsoka on Disney Plus with the clones, but it seems really early for that with Ahsoka. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to me, we know that the Book of Boba Fett comes out December of 2021. It doesn't seem like Ahsoka's going to come out before then. So I would assume they're hard at work on it right now. But I don't think we're going to get any information for a while. Maybe next year at Celebration we'll find out more about that, if not sooner. But it sounds to me like we've got the Book of Boba Fett Season 1 and then Mandalorian Season 3. Blake says, do you think the new Boba Fett comic announced as much to the characters the Mandalorian did? I don't think it'll add as much. I don't know. I wonder when Charles was working on it if he had exposure to the Mandalorian before. So that'll be fun to see. I'm sure it'll be a fun series. Thoughts on the new actor? Oh, you know what, James? I don't know. If it's a rumor or speculation, I typically don't go into those waters. There's actually a couple reasons for that. One, whenever I speculate, I end up getting disappointed. So I just don't go into those waters. Other people do, and I think that's wonderful. And then because I have such a close working relationship with Disney and Lucasfilm that I'm blessed to have, that I've cultivated over almost 8 years, I try not to address that stuff because I know when they're ready to announce something, if there is something to announce, that they will do that. So I'll just take a wait and see approach. I love Ezra. That's what I will say for sure. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? Josh says, I thought that was put on for the Ahsoka Mandalorian episode. I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out. Marvel has a lion's share of shoes this year. Star Wars maybe next year. Shows this year. Yep. I think you're right. Marvel's going to be kind of taking the stage for a while because they've actually, they didn't get to release Black Widow for a while. There's a lot of stuff they weren't able to do because of all the shutdowns and the pandemic. So now that we're getting this stuff on Disney Plus, The Mandalorian, WandaVision, which everybody loves, only 2 episodes left of that. So much to look forward to on Disney Plus. Speaking of things to look forward to, it was a pleasure to speak with each and every one of you tonight, talking about, Star Wars couples, the Halcyon, and all the other fun things going on in the world of Star Wars. Just so much fun. Ben wants to know what I think of the episode Friday. I thought it was great. It actually took a little bit of time for me to kind of settle into that one, and then I watched again with my wife and Mason again, and I liked it so much more. I think it's a great series. It's so much fun. Aaron, good to have you, buddy. My pleasure to chat with you, of course. You're doing a great job on Star Wars Reactions with David Motters, so thank you so much. James wants to know what I thought about the Cara Dune thing. I think it's just a shame all the way around, really. Mary, I want you to have a great weekend as well. Blake, we certainly miss having you here. You're always welcome at the Coffee with Kenobi table. All of you are, of course. Ross, thank you so much. Have a great week as well. Speaking of this week, be sure to check out CWK Pour Over, where we talked again about the major announcement of having people join us to co-host a Pour Over. And then on Coffee with Kenobi, what we did was we talked a lot about... I replayed my interview with Hasbro about the 50th anniversary action figures. Really fun stuff. Terry, thank you so much, buddy. Looking forward to your thoughts on it. Jeff, you are so welcome. Jason, good night to you. Matthew, have a blessed week too. Sarah, thank you so much. Take care. Matthew, it was great to have you on. Pleasure to do it. To see you next Monday night for sure. Have a great week and weekend, everybody. Again, get those top 5 favorite Star Wars collectibles for next week. Try to make it stuff that you actually have. And we'll just have so much fun talking about Star Wars collectibles and collecting. See you real soon, everybody. Be sure to catch us this week on Coffee with Kenobi, released this Thursday. And remember, this is a podcast you're looking for. Have a great week, everybody.